So, that was fun.
So I just now got finished playing Sonic Frontiers The Final Horizon, or Update 3 if you will, and I gotta say, no, I did not 100% the game because that sounds like death, but I had a pretty fun time with this. Now the reason I don't say fun as confidently as I normally would is because I don't think a lot of this was all that fun. I think I only began to have a lot of fun after I realized I don't have to enjoy every element of this, and I don't have to do everything the game has to offer. Alright, so here's the deal. Sonic Frontiers, to its entirety, I believe, is a pretty straightforward game. It's not very difficult, but I think when you download Update 3, the moment you start playing that, it's like you're playing an entirely different game. Everything just feels a lot more challenging, and even just the maneuvering itself can throw you into a whole what's going on here type of mindset. Obviously, you have the adjustments of playing as different characters, like Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy all play, actually, in my opinion, very differently. But the thing that makes that really challenging is that you're kind of bouncing between their gameplay formulas left and right, and also the game itself has increased in difficulty by everything within it, whether it be the platforming or the bosses or even just the cyberspace levels, which I will never be playing again. And that's funny because I know I stated before in my previous Sonic Frontiers videos that I was not a fan of cyberspace, but after a while it kind of grew on me and I was able to 100% all of them. But at this point, at this current juncture, I don't see that happening in the near future because this is where a lot of my animosity came from in not liking Update 3 as much, just because these just felt like they were just trying to be too hard and forgot to be fun. Here's my thought process. You give us 3 new characters and all of them maneuver and control very differently. All of them have their own unique movesets, everything like that, their own skill trees, you get it. But you also give us the hardest bosses that any update has ever provided so far, and I'd even say that these, Guardian bosses are stronger than that of the Titans that you fight as with Super Sonic. What I'm getting at here is, you give us no time to get acclimated to the movesets of these characters, and just thrust us into some of the hardest difficulty we've seen in a Sonic game ever. I mean, I kid you not, some of these bosses just have 0 openings, and some of these characters don't really have anything to do with that. Like, I just don't think the response time is great for some of them that could negate what's going on here. The most fun character to play as in Sonic Frontiers, in my opinion, is Sonic the Hedgehog, and here's the reason why. With every single island, you got more time to get acclimated to his moveset. You figured everything out by just constant usage of the character. I would argue that characters like Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, the 3 characters you get in Update 3, are not as fun as Sonic because you don't really have as much time to get acclimated to them because they're just not in the game that much. But even still, when you are presented with the opportunity to play as these characters, you're either faced with really difficult platforming or just the hardest bosses the game has to offer. The game treats it as if you've played as these characters before and you're already an expert. And to be totally honest with you, that was one thing I really didn't like about the update. I think that was probably the biggest thing, just the difficulty in general. And I haven't even talked about the trials yet, and I guess to further go on in my video here, I do want to say this. I switched it from hard mode to easy mode. Everything you're seeing within this video, aside from a couple of clips, I'm playing in easy mode, and it's still insanely difficult. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about a problem and not propose a solution, so here's what I have to say. I think that Sonic Frontiers Update 3 needed a natural progression of difficulty. I don't think we should have started off on this insane level right from the jump, especially with 3 new characters that we now have to learn. And some of you might claim that this is a bit of an overreaction, but I kid you not, I think when you get so used to using a homing attack as Sonic, Knuckles, and Amy, you forget that Tails does not have one. Now with that being said, I think these characters do get more fun the more time you spend playing as them. Unfortunately, most of that time for me came after I beat Update 3. So after I had already taken down the final boss and went back to replay the game again with the other characters, I began to have more fun with them then, as opposed to my actual playthrough of Update 3. Oh, and just in case you were curious, I think as of this moment, Tails is the most fun character to play as, just because, I don't know, I think he just moves around the best, he's got the most mobility, he can fly and do all this other cool stuff, and also characters like Knuckles have like this really weird lag thing that happens before he starts gliding. Don't like that at all. Actually, while I'm on the topic, I think Knuckles was probably the least fun character to play as, which is a shame because I think I had the most expectations for him. I thought that he'd be able to do some of the coolest stuff in this game, but I don't know, it just kind of fell flat for me. Amy, on the other hand, is also pretty fun to play as too, but I'm just curious about her moveset. I'm not sure why she couldn't use her hammer. Apparently, I saw a cutscene that did talk about how like she couldn't use it, but Knuckles, you could use his punches and everything like that, which was still a little weird because she can use the tarot cards just fine, but why not her hammer? I'm sure that might be explained within the concept of the game because I have not 100% it yet, but still, I think they could have easily just made a workaround of it and just had her use the hammer anyway, just because that feels like a natural thing that Amy would use as opposed to hitting an enemy with tarot cards. How exactly does that work? Like, just thinking about it, like Amy has had a physical weapon she has used many years prior to the events of this game. It's not like it's something that would be completely out of left field. She's been using the hammer since like the introduction of her character. So why is it not included here? I'm very confused about that. But the tarot cards seem to be a weapon here. Not liking that actually. Actually, I went back to start playing some of the game again while I was editing and recording this video, and I noticed that there are a few moves in which Amy does use her hammer, which leads me to question even more, why is this not a regular melee attack for her? Why is the tarot cards taking more priority for her than the hammer is? I don't get it. I just truly do not understand it. Especially because, like I just said, there is a cutscene where Amy is talking about how she can't use her hammer and Knuckles can use his punches. I don't know if I missed something, but that's really contradictory. And even still, going on to the other movesets of different characters like Tails, I don't know why he's throwing wrenches. I don't get that either. I think they could have come up with something a bit better than that. I mean, if it were up to me, it probably sounds a little lazy, but this is what I would have done. I would have allowed him to use the tail whip from Sonic Adventure, and also, if need be, I would have him like use a blaster or something. Like we even saw it in one of the clips or pictures of Update 3, and it is used, but it's only used by like charging up a gauge and everything like that. I think that is a lot cooler than just throwing a wrench. And you can call it nitpicking, you can call it just me complaining, you can call it whatever you want. As someone who really likes this franchise, and really likes the characters within this franchise, I just think they could have done so much better with it. At least with these moves specifically, because some of the other stuff they have, like, you know, Tails being able to use the Cyclone too, or Amy being able to have a triple jump and gliding and stuff like that, or not gliding, but like slowing her fall, I like that stuff, really cool. Moving on to more things I liked, just because I like to keep things positive, I did really enjoy the towers. Climbing those is a lot of fun. I really like doing that in Rhea, so it was cool to see them again here. And I also didn't mind the trials too much, aside from the last one where you had to fight against 3 titans with 400 rings with no more ring collecting. Hated that with a passion. I don't even know how I did it, but it's done, and I'm thankful for it. The other trials, though, I don't think were too bad. At least I was playing on easy, so I don't know how it could have been on the other difficulties, but I think the Snake trial was probably the hardest one outside of that last one, the Master King trial, I think that's what it's called. But the Snake trial was difficult, but once you like figure out how you're supposed to maneuver, you basically got it. I think at that point, you figured it out. Another thing I really liked about this update was just how much fun it was to explore Oranos again. I really liked how there weren't that many collectibles on the island where it made it overwhelming and really annoying. Instead, what it focused on was playing as different characters and completing different puzzles with those characters to unlock more stuff for them. The challenges are much more difficult than they previously were in the other islands, and even in the old Oranos where you played as like the original game before the DLC, but I think they're still lots of fun. I think this is exactly the kind of difficulty I like. It's not tedious, but it's also not too easy. Now, what about other things like the story, the characterization, the interactions? I thought those were good. I really enjoyed the dialogue between Knuckles and Tails the most, just because these two characters I feel like don't get that much screen time together. And it's kind of weird because when they do get screen time together, Sonic is always there, but you never see just the two of them. I made a video a little while ago about that, but seeing it happen here and seeing how Knuckles refers to Tails as kid, and seeing him encourage Tails, I don't know, I really liked that stuff. I thought it was really well written. I truly hope we get to see more of that going forward and more of their dynamic in general. But The story itself I thought was good. I thought it was a lot better than how the original ending of the game was, especially in terms of like the final boss and stuff. I really did not like Sonic Frontiers' original final boss. And this one, the new one, I'm still not crazy about. Like, I honestly still think the other Titan bosses were better. And the Super Form 2 kind of let down on that one. I didn't really expect it to be just, you know, Super Sonic with light blue eyes. I thought it would be more. I thought that was just like the tease of what's to come. Even when we did see more where he was like a fully cyber corrupted Super Sonic, it wasn't playable. Like, it just happened for like a split second, and that's what I was kind of hoping we'd get to play as and see more of, but that was not the case. But you know what I did find sweet though? All of those super cool moves that this new form of Sonic was doing. He was doing all these like parries in which he would just smack his hand down to dodge something, or he would just basically stare at the enemy and stuff like that. Like, that was so raw. And the way Sonic would just transform into that form, so tough. It just felt so, Sonic. It felt so real, so raw, and so dope. Honestly, Frontiers in general just did a great job of handling the super forms of Sonic the Hedgehog that I cannot be displeased with just about anything they do. Even with the initial final boss, I was upset there was no other super form other than just regular Super Sonic, but the way Super Sonic was handled in the original base game was still phenomenal. Still better than anything we'd ever seen in years. Probably the best utilization of Super Sonic I've seen ever. And this new form was just the icing on the lovely cake. All things considered, I thought this was a fun but insanely difficult update. Here's to hoping we get more playable characters in future Sonic the Hedgehog games, but what do you guys think? What was your thoughts on the Final Horizon Sonic Frontiers Update 3? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? I want to know what you guys have to say. And of course, as always, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the post notifications bell so you never miss a video from me. You guys do not want to miss what I have to say. But with that being said, thank you all again so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?